Coming up on KOTA Territory News at 5:30, we'll hear from Representative Dusty Johnson on the ongoing government shutdown. Democratic State Representative Nicole Uri-Balk has weighed in as well. We'll hear what she has to say on the topic. And we'll have the latest on the case against a Sturgis man accused of kidnapping, sexual assault, and a host of other charges. The news starts now.
From Skyline Drive, this is KOTA Territory News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Jack Cottle. We have new information on the kidnapping case in Sturgis involving a young girl who police say escaped captivity from a residence after being held against her will. Brian Savage spoke with the Sturgis chief of police to learn more about what happened after she broke free.
At around 8 a.m. Tuesday, Sturgis police received a report of a 15-year-old girl who escaped captivity in a residence.
We were able to go and meet with her, brought her back to our law enforcement center here, conducted an interview, ended up getting her some medical attention.
During the interview, police discovered the girl was sexually assaulted and forced to take illegal drugs during a period of time. Throughout the investigation, law enforcement identified Michael Wilson of Sturgis as the suspect in the residence where the alleged crimes were occurring. Sturgis Police Chief Jody Vandewater says this is not one of those cases in which somebody was walking down the road and got abducted.
I'm not sure what the relationship or what the knowledge or how well they knew, but they had knowledge of each other.
Wilson, who's currently on parole, is charged with several felony offenses, including aggravated kidnapping, rape, and other drug and pursuit related charges. When surveillance was conducted on the residence, Wilson was seen leaving in a car with 3 other people.
We had an officer that conducted a traffic stop, and the subject decided to take off running, and high-speed pursuit ensued.
Vandewater says the car chase began at 1 p.m. Wilson drove in and around Sturgis and then went through Deadwood, Lead, and finally coming to a stop in Spearfish Canyon at around 2:20 p.m., right before entering Spearfish city limits. During the chase, drugs and controlled substances were tossed from the car. Vandewater says no one was injured, with only several minor accidents occurring. The passengers with Wilson were arrested as well and are facing charges related to the pursuit.
So the 3 other people, to the best of my understanding, are not tied to anything other than the pursuit.
Vandewater says he doesn't know how long the girl was being held captive. A court appearance for Wilson and the 3 others is yet to be determined. In Sturgis, Brian Savage, KOTA Territory News.
It's a bit breezy today. How long will the wind stick around? Chief Meteorologist David Stradling is here with the details. At least it wasn't one of those biting, freezing winds.
Yeah, we'll take this kind of wind while we can get it, because we know what you just described is on the way sooner than probably many of us would like. It has been breezy today, and we're still noticing a lot of that wind on the South Dakota plains, central South Dakota, from Faithville to Pine Ridge, all the way towards Winter, Pierre, and Mobridge, anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour. We'll notice those winds continuing throughout the night, and we'll get a little more calm tomorrow, so we do get a break from the wind on Thursday. However, it does return as we make our way into Friday and the weekend. It is a pretty nice evening in downtown Rapid City. This is the view from our Golden West weather camera at the Gunnarsson Palmer Law Firm overlooking Main Street. Things are looking pretty nice for us currently, and temperatures are feeling pretty nice as well. A lot of 70s on the map, even an 80 currently out towards Rapid City Airport. Those temperatures will fall into the 50s for many overnight tonight, and some 40s. The warm air sticks around tomorrow. We'll have details on more wind and our next shower chance coming up.
Thank you, David. Updating you now on the stabbing of a tourist who was visiting the Wounded Knee Memorial site back in June. The alleged attacker was in court today, but said he was too tired to proceed as planned. Raymond Eaglehawk Jr. was supposed to change his plea. Instead, he told the judge he wasn't in the right frame of mind for his hearing, which was scheduled for 10:20 this morning. Prosecutors say Eaglehawk stabbed a 71-year-old Texas man in the throat with a knife while intoxicating and panhandling, even though the victim gave him money. Eaglehawk is charged with assault with intent to commit murder. He's now due back in court next week for an afternoon hearing. The fate of Ezekiel Mayweather is now in the hands of the jury. The 24-year-old Mayweather is charged with aiding and abetting and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder in the shooting death of Esther Wolf. After 40 witnesses testified and over 155 exhibits were presented, the prosecution and defense delivered their closing statements in a packed courtroom. Prosecutors highlighted Mayweather's connection to Wolf Wolf. Security footage of Mayweather at the location of the crime throughout the day, footage of him dropping Arcadius right off at the crime scene, and Mayweather's alleged involvement in disposing of the murder weapon. The defense called into question the motives of key state witnesses in the plea deal given to Wright. Defense also noted possible inconsistencies in testimony and focused on the lack of a clear plan that could constitute conspiracy. Democratic State Representative Nicole Uribalk of Rapid City has weighed in on the current government shutdown. Uribalk sat down with our Blake Trolley earlier today, highlighting the number of potentially impacted South Dakotans caught in the middle of the health care debate.
We are right now in the middle of a federal government shutdown, and Democrats right now at the national level are using this opportunity to try to advocate and push for some health care legislation. It seems like the big one, I know there's been some things thrown around, but the big one is the extension of these enhanced ACA tax credits. Do you think that the Democrats at the national level are doing a good job right now as far as using this opportunity to try to push for this?
I mean, it's one of the only tools they have, right? And you know, I heard Dusty Johnson, Representative Dusty Johnson, talk about how it's annoying when any party kind of tries to use the shutdown. But I get that, and shutdowns hurt Americans, and you know, we'll see what the outcomes are. But healthcare is real important. 53,000 South Dakotans would have you know, a part of that ACA program, and they would see up to a 60% increase in their health care premiums. And so we got to fight for that. And so if Republicans aren't willing to come to the table to negotiate on that, then you know, it takes two to tango. So. I
know Republicans, some of their messaging has been, well, let's get government back open, then we'll negotiate this. Do you have trust in that, and that negotiation would happen?
I don't. What we've been seeing just at the national level, that's real hard to, it has not been playing fair by any means, and we've seen unprecedented overreach in all kinds of different areas, and so to think that we can come to the table and be like, oh yeah, we'll, you know, be a good player, that's really hard. And again, healthcare is so important. It is a right for for Americans and for South Dakota citizens.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I do want to ask, do you support this maneuver to ultimately, you know, stand ground, allow the government to head to a shutdown, to really advocate for this, for some health care gains from the Democratic side?
I wish they didn't have to. I wish that didn't have to be the option. It does feel like there's no other tools to be using right now. And again, I do support just fighting for healthcare, using everything we can to fight for the healthcare that South Dakotans are benefiting from. So.
Representative Dusty Johnson told KOTA Territory News he believes negotiations around enhanced ACA premium tax credits are possible. We asked Johnson if he thinks Democrats should trust that Republicans will be open to conversations about the subsidies if the government were to open under a continuing resolution.
This is the argument that makes the least amount of sense to me. I don't know what trust would be required. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leaders, are saying, well, we don't know if we can trust the Republicans. Listen, it's hard to trust anybody in politics. But at the very worst case scenario, on November 21st, that's how long this short-term funding package would go to. At the very worst, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries still have the same leverage then that they have today, which is if they don't get the policy they want, they can shut the whole gosh darn government down.
KOTA Territory News will continue to track how this shutdown will impact South Dakota. More fair weather today in the Black Hills. How are Thursday and Friday looking? We'll have the latest and your accurate first alert forecast coming up later. But first, we continue our series on past U.S. presidents. Today's subject, John Quincy Adams. Stay with us. Leading up to America's 250th birthday in July, we're highlighting things you may not know about the presidents. Tonight, KOTA Territory's Phil Aldridge features a man whose father was the second president of the United States.
Jack, there are only two father and son pairs to occupy the White House, George H.W. and George W. Bush, and John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams was born in Braintree, Massachusetts on July 11, 1767, the first son of John and Abigail Adams. John and John Quincy were the first father and son to both become president. On diplomatic missions abroad with his father, he studied at European universities, becoming fluent in 7 languages. He would graduate from Harvard College in 1787, passing the bar in 1790. President Monroe named Adams Secretary of State in 1817. He was instrumental in acquiring Florida from Spain, as well as being the chief architect of what became known as the Monroe Doctrine, which prevented further European colonization in the Western Hemisphere. Adams and his wife would lose 3 children, a daughter in infancy and 2 sons in adulthood. In 1824, Adams was one of 5 candidates in the presidential election, with none receiving the majority of electoral votes. The House of Representatives decided the election, declaring Adams president over Andrew Jackson. But like his father, the younger Adams would serve only 1 term in the White House. He supported free speech and opposed slavery. The Erie Canal was completed during his presidency, linking the Great Lakes to the East Coast. He attempted but failed to provide land to Native Americans with territory in the West. After leaving the White House in 1830, Adams served in the House of Representatives for 18 years. He suffered a stroke on the floor of the House, fell into a coma, and died in 1848. John Quincy Adams was 80 years old. And for negotiating the end of the War of 1812 and his work on the Monroe Doctrine, Quincy Adams is considered one of the most influential diplomats in U.S. history, Jack.
Thank you, Phil. Even though we get a break from the wind tomorrow, Chief Meteorologist David Stradling says it will return. Find out the details in your accurate First Alert forecast next.
Now, the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist David Stradling.
A picture of what we had for today: blue skies, sunshine, beautiful weather for nearly everyone in KOTA territory. Though it was a little breezy for us, we'll get a break from those winds tomorrow. Right now we have a lot of 70s across the map here. 78 towards Edgemont, 79 in Hot Springs, 60s up towards the Black Hills, 80 out of the Rapid City Airport, and downtown we're a couple of degrees shy at that at 78. We're 68 currently up towards Sturgis. Now we look at the forecast for tomorrow. Going to be another beautiful day. 77, mainly sunny, a few high clouds passing through, so just those thin cirrus clouds. And then as we go throughout the day, it'll be warm. We're going to have a north wind at 5 to 15 miles per hour, but it will pick up once again tomorrow. Now, talking about that sunshine, not much in terms of cloud cover tonight. Maybe a little bit of patchy fog on some parts of the South Dakota plains waking up in the morning hours. And then as we go throughout the day, it's sunny. We'll see a few clouds moving in Friday morning and into the afternoon hours. They'll be increasing from the southwest. It may bring a stray shower or thunder shower to parts of KOTA territory by late Friday afternoon and into the evening hours. A couple of showers will be possible Friday night. By Saturday morning, most of that moisture should be into central South Dakota, pulling away and leaving us with a little bit more sunshine as we begin the weekend, but it will get breezy for us. Now, for the weekend, we're 78 on Saturday, going to feel pretty nice. We have a shower chance returning on Sunday, temperatures falling down to 67. Now let's take a look at some of those wind speeds. They're starting up Friday for us. So tomorrow we get a break. We're back at it on Friday. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour into parts of northeast Wyoming, 35 mile per hour wind gusts possible towards northwest South Dakota. It will remain a bit breezy Friday night and into the day on Saturday, where wind gusts will reach 30 to about 40 miles per hour yet again for much of western South Dakota and even into parts of northeast Wyoming. Winds will stay a bit breezy going into Sunday too, as some of those wind gusts will be up to about 30 miles per hour. So it's not the terrible 60, 70 mile per hour winds that sometimes we get this time of year, but it is going to be noticeable and kind of a nuisance if you have any outdoor plans going on. Our temperature outlook going to be calling for a slight above average uptick in those temperatures returning Tuesday, October 14th through Saturday the 18th. A little bit off towards western Montana, we'll have those below normal temperatures, and during that same time period, now above normal this time of year, only really talking about the 60s, maybe near 70 degrees, as our average high next week is closer towards 60 on the dot. Our moisture will be slightly favored to be above normal too, as rain looks to be a little more likely Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Something we'll keep sorting out as we get closer towards that time frame. 40s and 50s overnight tonight. Clear skies, pretty mild, a little bit of patchy fog on the plains. As for tomorrow, highs will be in the 70s for much Dakota territory, a few spots near 80. Mostly sunny, a nice break from the wind. For northeast Wyoming, the next 3 days, temperatures will stay pretty mild, a bit breezy Friday into Saturday for Gillette. We'll talk those temperatures staying warm Saturday, but cooling off into Sunday. You can expect similar weather for the northern, central, and southern Black Hills with highs in the 60s and 70s. Hot Springs near 80 a couple of the days for Thursday and Saturday. And then for the South Dakota Plains, some 60s on tap for Buffalo and Faith on Friday, but 70s return on Saturday. And we'll be looking at those temperatures cooling off to 59 on Monday, a bit breezy through Monday. A couple of those showers late Friday, again on Sunday, possibly even a few more by Tuesday. But as you'll notice, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, those temperatures already back above normal.
All right. I'm very excited about Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty nice, pretty comfortable, so get out and enjoy it.
Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, David. Coming up, after some big wins last night, local soccer teams gear up for the state semifinals. Plus, our athlete of the week has helped the St. Thomas More girls soccer team land a spot in those semifinals. Vic Quick has all the details next in KOTA Sports.
And now, KOTA Territory Sports, sponsored by your local Ford stores.
Good evening, everybody. The Belfouche boys soccer team picked up a big win in the opening round of the Class A state playoffs last night, knocking off Groton 7-4. The Broncs now move on to Saturday's semifinals, where they will play at top-seeded James Valley Christian. The Vikings enter the matchup with a 12-1 record. Kickoff is at 3 o'clock our time on Saturday. The St. Thomas More girls soccer team picked up a big win in the opening round of the Class A state playoffs yesterday, knocking off Garrettson 4-0. The Cavaliers return to the pitch Saturday when they play at Sioux Falls Christian. Brianna Solano has been a big part of STM's success. The senior midfielder is not only a talented player, but also serves as a valuable leader as one of the Cavaliers' captains. For her efforts, Solano is our Gustafson Builders Athlete of the Week, and Brianna enjoys setting up her teammates with great scoring opportunities.
Me personally, as a player, I think my strength is a passer. Specifically, I love to make assists for my fellow teammates and, you know, help them shine, help them have their moments. It's just the good moments as a team, whether that's on the field or off the field, at practice goofing around or, you know, giving each other glory for great plays we make on the field. We're such a big support system for each other, and that's something I really love about this team. We're always there for each other, and that's one of the things that's hard to find.
Congrats to Brianna for being our Gustafson Builders Athlete of the Week. Now, next up for the third-seeded St. Thomas More girls as a semifinals matchup with second-seeded Sioux Falls Christian on Saturday. That game will be played in Sioux Falls and will start at 9 o'clock our time. And the AA ranks, the top-seeded Stevens girls rolled past Sioux Falls Jefferson 7-2 last night. The Raiders are host Aberdeen Central for a semifinal match on Saturday. That game will start at 11 a.m. out at Sioux Park. It was quite a state tournament for St. Thomas More golfer Hayden Haig. Haig shot a pair of 69s in Vermilion to finish at 6 under, winning the individual championship by an amazing 7 strokes. As a team, Haig and the Cavaliers finished in third place behind Dakota Valley and Vermilion. Now, the Rapid City Christian and St. Thomas More girls tennis teams also had a nice showing at the Class A state tournament in Sioux Falls. The Comets finished in second place with the Cavaliers third to Sioux Falls Christian, and Rapid City Christian's Evie Byers and Addie Palmer finished second in Flight 1 doubles. Exciting stuff there. The AA Girls State Tennis Tournament starts tomorrow, also in Sioux Falls. WNBA Finals tonight. Game 3 between the Aces in Phoenix and the Becky Hammond-led Las Vegas Aces up in that series 2-0. Looking to go up 3-love tonight. That's a look at sports.
All right, David, we just got to get to the nice weekend ahead.
Yeah, we're looking at temperatures overnight tonight down into the 50s, so much more mild than what we have been recently, warmer into Saturday.
All right, we will see you tonight at 10.
Thanks for watching KOTA Territory News, your local news and weather authority.